It's 101, so we will start. We thank those of you that came back to join us.
You get to see.
You get a seat, you get a seat. I will remind everybody to speak up for those in the audience. And with that, we will get back to the agenda, starting with E. I believe I'm going to turn it to Megan, and Megan and Bradley will run us through.
Thank you. I'm actually going to let Bradley start us off if you would like. If you would like.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Maria. Number one, first I'd like to thank the members of the task forces for their commitment to improving our processes for both non-sterile and sterile compounding. The sterile compounding, we've had a couple meetings and we've had some lively discussions. I'll put it that way. The big topic of discussion was the new USP descriptions. Currently, we've got low risk with 12-hour beyond use dating, medium risk, and high risk. The new categories are now category 1, 2, and 3. And so, like I said, there are a lot of discussions going on between what's, where does low fit in and trying to compare. A couple of the examples of other topics covered, for example, designated personnel, ongoing guarding competency evaluations, humidity requirements, and viable air sampling, the timing and the locations. Those are just some of the highlights. We do have another meeting scheduled for January 23rd of 2024. Because the members of the task force have all kinds of other commitments going on. That's why we had to go into January. The non-sterile compounding task force, ASHP, USP 795, key changes. The task force looked at all of them. And basically, we've accepted the ASHP recommendations as is. There are a few minor wording changes. Other topics that we covered, equipment like containment ventilated enclosures must be certified every 12 months. We had discussion. Well, it's 6 months, it's 3 months, it's 12 months, it's a year and a half. It's all over the place. Visual inspections, and also beyond use dating or buds. One thing that we are changing is eliminating the term of water containing. Again. What we're trying to do with both of these task forces is to set a minimum standard, and some of the members are operating up here well above, which is good. But again, we're trying to come up with a minimum standard across the board for everybody, and it just takes a little bit of cooperation and discussions, and we're letting everybody speak their mind, and then we're just trying to compare and consolidate and It's a little challenging at times, but we're getting there. So, thank you.
So it's my understanding that the non-sterile has finished their
Yes.
task.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you would like, I can present those to you now.
That would be great.
Okay. So if you look behind E.1, there is a lovely chart, and I'm going to give some kudos to Ben Santana. The actual chart itself is something that he put together for that subcommittee and walked them through. And then Iman Briggs is the one who synthesized the actual recommendations from the non-sterile committee. You'll see those in the red type on the side. So you can see for each category they've provided to you, or what the old USP 795 said, what our rules say, what the new USP 795 says, and then the committee recommendation. If you have any questions on those, I'm happy to answer them for you. If you want to talk about some in depth, we're happy to do that as well.
So what happens now? Are we saying that all of these things that the committee is recommending, you guys are gonna go back and make a proposed rule changes?
If that's what you direct us to do. So at this point, you can review this and say thank you, and that's the end of the day. Or you can review this and say you'd like for us to draft rules to bring back. You can review it and say, we like some of this, but some of this we would prefer to see done differently, and direct us to bring back rules reflecting the changes that you would like to see.
I'd like to commend the staff on putting this together, because I know that would not have been an easy task to organize everything to make it easier for the advisory group to go through so smoothly, at least this week. I think I would like to see this in a rule template, to come back as a proposed for us to look at and have public comment on, in the format that we're used to normally seeing. See what would be easier, maybe to see what changes are being suggested, and then we can discuss it at that time.
So you would like to see it the way the committee recommended it.
Is that a motion? Or is that?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion from Jenny and a second from Mr. Guerrera, that we will instruct the staff to take the recommendations of the task force and bring us back proposed rules in February. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, great job.
Just a quick comment, is this visible from the?
It is. Yeah, so it's on that same E.1. For the public, they're able to access this document as well.
And then Lori, your question?
Can we talk just a little bit more about the 797, the sterile piece of this? So, as you all know, with the changes in 797, some of them directly conflict with what we currently have.
That's what the task force is going through
Yes.
to
So,
make sure it's not there.
so what is currently in our rules conflicting with what USP, which is now enforceable by Joint Commission and others, knowing that there are some conflicts between the two, what is a 797 offer to do in the interim?
Gotta go to a commission. Yeah.
At the risk of getting cited by,
Listen, you're good.
at the risk of getting.
Let's look back and
Sorry.
So from a regulatory standpoint, USP is guidelines. These are the rules that are current in Texas.
Yes.
So these are actually enforceable regulations.
Yes.
And USP 797 is just guidelines. I know it's very
But it's
complicated. with
enforceable by Joint Commission. Yeah, and CMS now. So
And that's
It is-
your accrediting agency.
I never want to act to compromise being thorough and accurate for being swift But I'm just encouraging them that this is a challenge for this task force because I get how complex the conversations have to be. But knowing that that there are hospitals that are operating at risk with the State Board of Pharmacy, as well as at risk with CMS and Joint Commission, because we don't align. So that's just my recommendation.
And I think the hope, they've met quite a bit.
Yeah.
Sterile has, off the top of my head, I want to say 4
I would
times.
say 4 times, yeah.
That might be wrong. And when we meet, it's like 5 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
It's not a short meeting.
I understand that.
Their hope is to have their recommendations for the February board meeting. I'm hoping that we can accomplish that. We've set aside a full day on the 23rd, and that's
Great.
all that group is going to be doing, is working on this. I can't promise that they'll have it by February, but the hope is that they'll have it for the February board meeting.
I think that will put a lot of people at ease. Thank you.
So now we're gonna go to 8.2. So Megan, you wanna give us an update on the PMP advisory committee?
Yes. So as you may know, the PMP advisory committee is set up in the Texas Controlled Substances Review. And I just want to say that we really appreciate the contributions of all of those committee members who have met their 3-year term. The statute also provides for the types of members that are required on those committees, and we sent out requests for nominations to various associations and groups back in June, and then sent out selection letters in early September. So we have most of those members for the new committee, some of which are coming back and some of which are new to us. However, we're still missing nominations for a physician licensed in this state who performs surgery and a physician licensed in this state who practices psychiatry. So if the Texas Medical Association or Texas Society of Psychiatric Physicians or another Texas Physician Association out there is listening and would like to make those nominations, we would be very happy to receive them. The next meeting of the PMP Advisory Committee is set for December 14th, and they'll select a new president at that time. Also wanted to say a big thank you to Dr. Sade, because I know he put a lot of time and effort into being president of this particular advisory committee.
Any questions for Megan on that? All right, Megan. Take us through the Interagency Prescription Monitoring Program work group.
Yes, so the Interagency work group is made up of agencies who are involved in the prescription monitoring program. It's another one that's set out in the Texas Controlled Substances Act. The last work group met on August 21st, and there was good discussion amongst the agencies regarding the recent legislative session, the funding for PMP, and then a lot of sharing of information, which I think is really valuable between those agencies. This group meets as needed, and the next meeting has not been scheduled at this time.
And with that, we will go to F on the agenda, and I'll ask Ruben to come forward.
All good. 1 second.
too old not to wear double glasses. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I will be going over the items within F.1 regarding the agency's financial updates, which have been previously provided to you. I want to start by stating the financial documents provided to you, starting with F.11, is the agency's budget status report. And that reflects the agency's standing as of the end of the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2023. The next item on the agenda is F.1.2. This spreadsheet details and reviews the board's in-state and out-of-state cumulative travel expenses for the end of the fiscal year of 2023. And lastly is F.1.3, which shows consideration of material changes and contracts for goods and services. Thank you, members of the board, for your review of these financial documents. And at this time, I'm available for any questions you may have regarding these documents.
All right. There's no action that needs to be taken as far as approval, but are there any questions for Ruben in regards to the FY 2023 expenditures, travel or contract?
Any leftover funding is
Good question. Mandated by Constitution on November 1st, any unencumbered, unexpended funds get lapsed by the controller's office. And based upon the report, as you were looking at, 13% of the agency's remaining budget was as to be stated this way.
pretty much leftover. Yeah, I would, I mean, it's hard to be, you want to be over that.
That's correct.
You'd rather be a little under.
We wish we could use it, but we can't bring those funds over to you by.
Other questions?
So for 24, is it appropriated around the same amount?
Be a little higher. We got to appropriate more in the PMD program, some additional funding for the peer systems, and I believe we got some additional funding for enforcement director. But in the contracts and budgeting, it was budgeted for about the same amount. However, due to inflationary circumstances, some of these contracts will be coming in a little larger than expected. But we always have a little buffer within our budget to account for these expected spreads.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ruben, as always, thank you so much for your thoroughness and for your report.
Thank you.
All right, with that, you will note that we already covered F.2 and we will go to F.3. We'll note under F.3, there is the strategic plan for 25-29. We sent out to all of the different organizations as well as other entities a survey. We got back 8 responses, of which we really want to thank those that did send their responses in. You'll notice that there are 4 points that came up and were weighted as to areas for us to look at and consider. Technology and technicians and PMP weight into that. So what we will do, this will be the beginning foundation of the development of the strategic plan. This is something that we've gone through before. And we will begin the work on it, but we wanted to make sure that y'all saw the surveys and that kind of saw how the weighted averages came out with these 4 entities.
How many surveys went out?
I'm sorry?
How many surveys went out?
Yeah, how many went out?
A lot.
A lot. Yeah.
But I mean, we got 2 more than we did in the last 2.
You got what?
We got 2 more than we did the last 2 weddings, so we
Yeah.
actually got a decent response.
Okay.
Yeah, so we only have six last time, yeah.
So we send them out. Are they on our website too, where they can go and?
It's a survey, survey monkey link.
Oh,
And so
it's-
we send them the link and then they can go in and respond.
So they're sent to community.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we actually put it on our website too.
I think it's targeted to stakeholders and not necessarily the public at large. So that's why traditionally we
directly
sent
to-
it, yeah.
Just curious.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, this is not an action item. It's an action item for us to move forward, but we need no vote on it. With that, we will go to PMP, and I will ask Megan to give us that report.
Yes, well, as we talked about earlier, David Merriman is the new PMP manager. And happily, he will be here at the next board meeting to give this report to all of you, and it will not be me, I hope. There was a successful rollout of statewide integration and NARCS care on September 1st. And messaging regarding the availability of integration and NARCS care was sent out to users. We have seen an uptick in registration, so we are happy about that. And there is a page on our website with a welcome packet and instructions on how to sign up. You may also remember that we received appropriations for advanced analytics within the PMP program. Those have been deployed and staff have been pleased with the ability to dig deeper into that data with the reports that they run. So we're excited about that as well. We're also making progress in getting the program back to being fully staffed. We have posted 2 PMP data specialist positions. And in the next couple of weeks, we'll be posting the 2 new PMP positions that we got out of this last legislative session. And we're really looking forward to getting these positions filled and the support that they're going to be able to provide that team.
Any questions regarding PMP? Thank you, Megan, and thank you for leading the charge with PMP this last month. I'm gonna leave it with you though, so that you can go over our hearings and cases with the State Office of Administration.
So for our court actions, as we've heard about for quite a while now, there's the Garrett appeal. And this is the case where the 2 physicians sued TSBP and TMB regarding the prohibition from physicians dispensing from office practices. There was a favorable ruling from district court that dismissed the case, but the plaintiffs appealed to the 3rd Court of Appeals in Austin. And we had an attorney from the Office of the Attorney General, Solicitor General's office handling that case for us. And then as we discussed before, on January 25th, the 3rd Court of Appeals affirmed the trial court's order. On April 10th, the plaintiffs filed a petition for review with the Texas Supreme Court. On September 29th, the Texas Supreme Court denied the plaintiff's petition for review. So this case should now be final.
Wow.
Good news.
I know.
For this board. And then we also have Light Care RX LLC. This is the pharmacy and the PIC filed a petition to appeal the board orders entered in May of 2022 in Travis County District Court. An attorney from the Attorney General's office has been appointed to handle this case. Back in August 8th of 2022, the Attorney General filed a plea of the jurisdiction, request for hearing, and original answer. And there have still been no updates on this one since the last board meeting. And that's all of our court action.
I know, that is so nice, but that's it. Next on the agenda, I'm gonna ask Misty Anderson to come forward, and she's gonna take us through a discussion on the issuance of licenses that we had talked about last time.
Good afternoon. TSBP staff process pharmacist exam results for the NPJ and the NAFLEX once a week. Staff download a secure electronic file received from NABP and upload the results in our internal database. Staff audit each pharmacist applicant's file to ensure an applicant is not licensed without proper documentation, incomplete exam results, or exam failure, and manually update the database if necessary. The Health Professions Council, who facilitates our licensing database, create a program that runs overnight to license the approved applicants and update the TSBP website the next day. On July 6, 2023, TSBP licensing staff received the exam results for 157 pharmacist applicants from NADP per normal procedure. However, duplicate MPJE results uploaded for 75 applicants. These applicants did not have the NAPLEX results in the database yet, so the duplicate MPJE results uploaded into the spot for the NAPLEX results. Staff contacted NADP to verify the information in the report, notified me immediately that upload the erroneous showed some applicants having results for both MPJE and NAPLEX, when these applicants did not have the NAPLEX results yet. As our staff began manually correcting the results in the database, I requested that HPC investigate why the MPJE results were duplicated during the upload. The program that licenses approved applicants is set to run on Thursday evenings around midnight. Therefore, staff thought they had plenty of time to correct the information in our database before the program ran. However, we discovered that evening that the program actually ran around 8 p.m., which was earlier than anticipated. Unfortunately, 17 out of the 75 showed a duplicate MPJE result in the spot for the NAPLEX results were licensed incorrectly. The applicants were erroneously issued were resolved by 7 a.m. the next morning. TSBP does not have a data program on staff to assist with these type of issues. TSBP relies on HPC to facilitate our database and many of our programs. After investigation, HPC confirmed the duplicate upload stemmed from a lag in the system. In response to this issue, TSBP and HPC have put stops in place to keep the program from running if a discrepancy occurs in the future. TSBP staff will continue to audit each pharmacist applicant's file to ensure the applicant has the appropriate documentation and exam results.
So these 17 had that information for basically 11 hours.
Correct.
I think in their minds, though, the bad information went for like nobody ever, they saw that they had passed and they saw that they had their license was issued. And it's not like 11 hours later, they went and checked to see if it was still issued. They didn't have any notification until somebody serendipitously discovered it, pointed it out that they're no longer there. So
yeah, I think in a lot of these cases, that person hadn't even taken the NAPLEX yet.
okay. So the one that came to my attention, she had taken both of this. So from a timing standpoint, it didn't seem off to her that she had received her license. But I just want to thank you for looking into it. I felt like for this particular person who reached out to me on that Sunday and said, I don't know what to do. I said, don't practice as a pharmacist right now. Let's get to the bottom of it. But it was a big deal to her. And I thank you for going to so much effort and putting some stopgaps in place so that it doesn't happen.
Right. Really big thanks to Missy and her whole team. I mean, they do a tremendous amount of work. Just everything that y'all do is amazing. And she is fully staffed now, so that's a big plus as well.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Misty. All right, with that, we will trade out Misty for Caroline, and we'll look at in our enforcement reports.
Okay, 2.1 is your report on dismissed complaints that were closed in the last quarter of fiscal year 23. So this did also complete FY23 numbers. So you have the last two columns of the chart filled out for you. And also on the bottom chart, this is a consolidation of the top chart where it shows you the complaints that were closed about disciplinary action and versus the complaints that were closed with disciplinary action both in the fourth quarter and for all of fiscal year 23. The second page of G.1 is the quarterly average view. So you're looking at not only the fourth quarter 23, but also of completed fiscal year 23 numbers compared to the quarterly average for fiscal year 22, so the year before it, and you can see kind of the percentages there. And G.2 is your open complaints. So this is the complaints that were open as of October 17th, 2023, in comparison to each of the prior board meeting views. And the top chart, I skipped over the top chart. The top chart is the completion of fiscal year 23 for the number of complaints that you received, the complaints that were closed, which we just looked at, and then comparison there of statistically, how many complaints were closed and the timeliness of those complaints, the resolution.
Brian, any overriding themes on reports that you would say call out just general?
I mean, I think we brought it up last time, just the number of complaints continue to trend a little higher than previously. Not quite as high as we were in coming out of COVID in FY22, but continuing a little higher than pre-COVID numbers. Yeah, so I think I'm kind of wondering if that's where we're going to level out to a little bit where we were this year, maybe. Good. Don't need all those complaints.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you ever do reports or get reports from other states? I know we're a bigger state, we have more pharmacists, but I wonder, do you ever check on other states and see what the percentages are, what they go through there, or is it just more customary for us? Have you ever done that?
I've never thought to do that.
You gotta find it, it'd be nice to know if it's just a thing here that we're seeing an uptick on cases, or is that just endemic with practice?
I would kind of think it has to do with COVID and coming out of COVID. I know that just anecdotally, the number of, people complaining about their prescription took 5 minutes later, or they had to stand in line, or, their medication wasn't in stock, has gone up. And so I think that that's probably more a post-COVID trend or during COVID trend.
From what I've heard at the conferences I've been at recently, this isn't been exhaustive research, but it seems like other states are also noticing upticks. But again, that's just what I've been.
The resolution time in 22 was very short, even with a higher number of complaints. Do you know what that was? Where they were easier to resolve complaints?
Saw that as well.
It's okay.
I noticed that as well, because it is a number that really sticks out, dropping down to 84 days. I don't have the answer.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries. Thank you.
Any other questions for Carolyn? All right, Carolyn, thank you again, as always. All right, that leads us to our disciplinary orders. So, Megan.
I believe that Amy sent you all the information associated with these items in a link I think it also was updated on your laptops over lunch. So while you hopefully were able to review the information in the link that was previously provided to you, please do look at the updated one. I think it's just a tiny error fix. I think just nothing substantive that we need to be too concerned about. So we want to look at the most up to date. These are all of the agreed board orders, default orders, and remedial plans that have either been entered or are being proposed to you now. So for H.1, this is a report on all of the orders that have been entered by Julie, Jenny, and Ian, or by Dave. These are the ones that you have authorized them to enter. This item does not need a vote and is just for your information. So if you do not have any questions on these, we'll move on to the next part. Hearing none. We have H.2 and H.3. H.2 are the proposed agreed board orders and default orders, and H.3 are the proposed remedial plans. So these include both orders and remedial plans resulting from informal conferences and those proposed by mail per your previous instructions. You'll notice for the orders resulting from an informal conference, the chart indicates the board members that were at that informal conference. If you participated in the informal conference, you would automatically be recused from that vote. Unless you have any questions about these, we would need a motion to approve the proposed agreed board orders and default orders and the proposed remedial plans. So that would be items H.2 and H.3.
I would like to request that we enter executive session just for some legal.
You would need a motion.
I'll need.
Second.
All right.
Julie, do you want to call who seconded?
Yeah, I'm sorry, who did second? Dawn seconded. Okay, so at this time, a closed meeting will now be held for the purpose of consulting with legal counsel regarding pending or contemplated litigation under the authority of the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071. It is November the 2 to step outside for a little bit. We will come back and get you when we're done.